Well, it's freaking official, and it's no longer some rumor from a stock portfolio meeting that got out of hand. We actually now have confirmation that Guild Wars 3 is freaking happening, and it looks really good. Not only that, but it's actually going to be coming sooner than you think. Like, it doesn't sound like it's 5-10 years off. It's actually going to be playable next year. The beta is slated for fall of 2027, just over a year from now, and you can sign up for the newsletter and the beta right now over on guildwars3.com. Yes, the website finally exists. The trailer shown isn't necessarily gameplay, leaning more towards a cinematic, but it's shot in engine for the new game that they're calling a modern evolution of the genre with action combat that requires strategic use, positioning, and movement alongside Guild Wars build making. Combat is designed to feel good on both mouse and keyboard as well as controller. Because the MMO is cross-platform, it will be coming out on both PS5 and on PC. On the Steam page and on their website, as well as in the trailer, one of the other big highlights was movement and traversal, gliding, riding mounts, wall running, and more freeform movement that transfers your momentum when you change modes of travel. The wall running to me is the coolest thing of this. The momentum will also be important to your damage dealing, as you can harness it into dealing bigger damage when fighting. Now this, I'm not entirely sure how this is going to work out, but it could be really cool as long as it's not something that feels gimmicky, as long as it feels good within the combat system, which I'm kind of expecting it to. One of the things that I think Guild Wars 2 has done really well, among many things that I think Guild Wars 2 has done well, is their combat system feels good. It felt like a good way of kind of meshing tab target combat with action combat into a kind of a harmonious system. So I'm not really expecting anything less here with Guild Wars 3. I'm expecting some harmony in their combat system. The other thing that you know, if you followed Guild Wars 2 at all, is they've been doing some pretty fantastic things with their mount movements over the years, finding new and interesting ways to engage with movement in the world. So engaging that World of Warcraft actually loosely copied their flight mechanics for dragon riding. And the fact that the game trailer opened with mount riding, I'm sure is no coincidence, as in recent years that's become a shining example for Guild Wars 2. But perhaps even more intriguing, this isn't a sequel to the story events of Guild Wars 1 and Guild Wars 2, it's actually a prequel. The game is set over 1,000 years before the events of the original game. That's a pretty nice padding to where you can kind of assume that anything that happens here doesn't really show up that much in the next two games. This gives them a lot of things to play with without like feeling confined. Kind of like when Star Wars: The Old Republic went way back in time instead of, being in the middle of Star Wars galaxies. You'll be traveling to the Tyrian region of Or, a vast wilderness frontier imbued with the world's magic, and taking on the role of a Veil Warden, a member of a guild of adventurers committed to preserving and protecting both the spirits of the wild and the land of Or itself. In Or, nature entities have a strong connection to the land and are called Veil Spirits, and they embody the vitality of this lush, verdant landscape. These multitudinous spirits will vary in size and influence within the ecosystems around them, with the most notable of these being the Seeker. Every player's Seeker will serve as a connection to the spirits of Or and a mount that will carry them on their journeys through the game's open world. See what I mean about mounts being a focal point? But of course it wouldn't be Guild Wars without, well, wars. Various guilds are engaged in conflicts over how to either protect or to exploit the bountiful land beyond civilization's borders. This quote from studio head Colin Johansson kind of covers the basic tenets of the new game. Quote, "Our approach with Guild Wars 3 is to push MMORPGs forward, to create an online game world that feels believable, rewarding, responsive, and innovative, while at the same time respecting players' time and providing a positive, supportive space to build community and enjoy new stories in our universe." 14 years since the release of Guild Wars 2, there's new life and new hope, not just for the MMO itself, but for the genre with this announcement of Guild Wars 3. And it's honestly probably pretty telling that this wasn't the only NC Soft MMO that was launched. I mean, ArenaNet is under NC Soft. But out of the two, this is the one I cared about. This is the one that got me excited. Yes, Aeon 2 is coming as well, but I think that game has been poisoned by its monetization. Even if it ends up less when it kind of reaches here, it's still been poisoned by it. And Guild Wars 2 is kind of known for having a pretty fair monetization structure, a buy-to-play game with a shop that isn't really pay to win. Guild Wars 3 is already looking like a treat and exactly what the genre needs right now. A big, well-known sequel or prequel to a beloved game, one that has fair monetization after the devastating few years we've had recently for MMORPGs with cancellations of in-development projects, new releases that have been poisoned with greedy monetization. Seeing this has me incredibly excited, and seeing it and having a date for it, having a date that isn't some 2030, but actually obtainable, it's next year, I think is another big part of this that makes this that much more exciting. And I cannot wait for more details. Now I'm gonna make this video a little bit more on the quicker side because there might actually be a part 2 to it, depending on what we find out tomorrow. You know, I'll do it after I finish my tattoo appointment that I have. So I might be wincing and crying in pain, but it'll be worth it because tomorrow we're going to be getting new information, not just on this game, but on the franchise and their future. This will be taking place tomorrow, June 6th at 11 a.m. CST and 12 p.m. EDT. And from the Guild Wars 2 website, it doesn't sound like either Guild Wars Reforged nor Guild Wars 2 are going anywhere. In fact, you can even log in to Guild Wars 2 and get a shoulder skin in the form of a cape, as well as a little achievement for completing events in the Maps of Ore, the new game setting, as well as 50% experience, 50% magic find, and 30% world versus world and PvP track progress until June 16th to celebrate the Guild Wars 3 announcement. As usual, my sources are down below if you want to check them out and see for yourself some of the information, and they are most likely going to be where things are updated as new information comes out. My name is Redwood Flynn. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have an absolutely wonderful day.